If you're looking for travel ideas for 2025, we went to Asia, Africa, Europe, and South America in 2024, and we have thoughts about the 26 cities and 14 countries we visited. We share all the highlights in this video. I'm Judy.
And I'm Kevin. Welcome back to Finding Gina Marie, where we share our lives as full-time travelers and the connections we make along the way. We visited so many cool places in 2024. There were some unexpected gems and some hidden surprises in that list. And we have videos for each one of those, including a playlist for each country.
We'll have links for the playlists in the description below. We'd love to hear what places are on your bucket list for 2025. In fact, in our free La Familia community forum, we actually have a thread talking about that very subject. But you're also welcome to just leave a note in our comments.
We literally just wrapped up our 2025 scheduling, but we haven't really locked in anything yet. There's nothing booked, so we are a bit flexible. If you have any place that you're going to be, or if there's any chance we could meet up, we'd love to hear from you. Let us know in the comments below.
We'll be sharing our 2025 plans next week. So subscribe if you're not already.
So let's walk through the year starting with November, which is typically where we start our travel year.
When we first started traveling in 2022, it was in November. And that kind of has been the traditional beginning of the new year for us, at least for a travel year. It's a bit unorthodox, but it works for us.
Our travel year started in Japan. We spent time in Tokyo, Kyoto, and Hiroshima. It was an epic trip for us, and we spent 42 days there, including some time with our daughter, who joined us the second half of our trip. We have 7 videos from Japan.
There were some cool things about Tokyo, including the huge video screen with the cat near Shinjuku Station's east exit. But we really preferred the smaller size and more zen atmosphere of Kyoto. The fall leaves at Daigoji Temple were outstanding.
We also found Hiroshima to be a much more uplifting place than we expected, and appreciated the resiliency of the people there. And we really liked Hiroshima's version of okonomiyaki.
We also found that the people were incredibly kind and helpful. We were pleasantly surprised that they do a lot of work to make it less intimidating to deal with the language differences here. Culturally, it was much different than most of the other parts of the world we visited. Things like no public garbage cans and eating on the street being taboo.
Next country was Vietnam. Saigon's history was fascinating, and it was powerful to hear from a Vietnamese perspective. But we stayed in the wrong area of town, and that kind of left us with a bad taste of our first impression of Vietnam. In Saigon, we really did like the 3 coolest neighborhoods tour though.
Hanoi was a pleasant surprise and was a stark reminder about how different parts of the country can be. The history is different between the north, south, and central, and so is the weather. Hoi An was probably the most beautiful city we visited. And we loved the local activities we enjoyed there. One of the highlights was visiting My Son Sanctuary and learning about the Champa Kingdom.
We also loved meeting up with several locals to learn more about their work. We enjoyed learning about how to make Vietnamese noodles and all kinds of other crafts.
We had delicious banh mi, and I loved having pho for breakfast.
Cambodia was our next stop, and we almost took it off our list. So glad we didn't, because Siem Reap had some of the kindest people we encountered. Angkor Wat exceeded the hype that we heard about it, and we had no idea about the history of the Khmer Empire before visiting. It was quite fascinating.
We highly recommend having a guide or doing some sort of research in advance before visiting. We've got a great video that I think gives a lot of context.
We spent time meeting with local people during an agricultural countryside bicycle tour, which was one of my favorite things to do.
We were introduced to farmers, including a mushroom farmer. We tasted lotus seeds, and our guide even took us to his home where he showed off his machete skills by harvesting some sugarcane, and his wife pressed the juice for us. I don't think we were prepared at all for how much we would enjoy Siem Reap.
Now, Thailand was on our list. Chiang Mai's food, of course, was outstanding. We had a countryside tour there as well, but it included a visit to a school, and seeing how those worked in Thailand was fascinating.
Getting a sticker from one of the little girls in the classroom was very special, one of the highlights of our trip there.
How'd you get the sticker, Judy?
One of the most precious little girls gave it to me in the classroom, which I will wear with pride.
So sweet.
And so is the homemade candle that we got from Tyr and Linlin, two of the shop people at Mama Sandwich Shop.
We've come here nearly every day for an entire month, and our servers at Mama's just gave me this beautiful handmade scented candle with Gina Marie on it. And I just think it's the most precious and thoughtful thing nearly anyone has ever done for me. So it's just so sweet.
That's very sweet.
I don't know. Absolutely precious. They said Happy Valentine's Day.
Oh.
Those breakfast bagel sandwiches with spicy pork and pickles were craveable. I missed them a lot. We were pretty satisfied with the medical checkups here, too. And the Silver Temple blew us away with how beautiful it was. Our next stop was to Taiwan, and I'd come back to Taipei just for the dumplings, the beef noodle soup, and especially the black pepper buns at the Rauha Street Market.
Speaking of things we'll never forget, Taiwan experienced a massive 7.2 earthquake that shook us up while we were in Taipei.
I'd actually consider going back to Taipei 101 to see it lit up in all its glory for New Year's Eve.
And that building held the most upscale shops we've ever seen. South Korea was a bit of a surprise because Judy booked us in Busan, which is a beach town. The promenade along Gwangali Beach and the drone show every Saturday night was pretty impressive.
And let's not forget the hospitality of our Airbnb host. Being invited to their home for a meal was such a cool experience, and our host prepared the most delicious food there.
I felt really guilty because they made enough food for an entire army.
We loved all of the nature we could enjoy in Busan. The Igide Coastal Trail was especially lovely, but it gave us a really hard workout.
Seoul was surprising too. It had a much smaller feel than we expected. I thought it'd be similar to Tokyo, but it felt more intimate and had tons of nature to enjoy. And we loved how the Cheonggyecheon stream was transformed into this pedestrian hub with musicians and seating.
After 7 months in Asia, we were ready to shift to Europe for the next several months. We started in Italy.
Orvieto was such a charming town. I was a little unprepared for how upscale it was, but every winding street was super picturesque.
Even though we knew the Amalfi Coast was a hot tourist destination, we were surprised by how chaotic it was. The coastal views were incredibly beautiful. But I actually felt that Lake Como was equally beautiful. The staircase in Bellagio was so picturesque. And Verona was outstanding too.
We loved Il Giardino Botanico and Villa Monastero. Both were exquisite and so scenic.
After visiting Verona a couple times, we were pleasantly surprised that it continues to impress us. It remains on our short list of places to eventually retire to or for a long-term stay.
One reminder is that 2025 is a Jubilee year, so it's going to be more crowded. This is definitely the year to get off the beaten path.
Sure, both Turin and Genoa that we visited in 2023 and Orvieto I think would fit the bill for 2025. You'll also need to check on whether you need an ETIAS pre-travel visa depending on when you're going to be in the EU in 2025. We'll put a link in the description so you can get notified about the details once they're finalized.
This was our first time in Spain, and we were grateful that we could spend a couple of days in Barcelona before landing in Madrid.
And wow, the Antoni Gaudí architecture here was so unexpected. I didn't know anything about his work, but it was so different from anything that I'd ever seen in a church or any other building before.
We had fun at the Mercado and sampling Iberian ham, and we love the spicy empanadas here. We also enjoyed walking along La Rambla.
We always appreciate when there are trains in a country we visit, and Spain had high-speed trains that made it possible to easily relocate from Barcelona to Madrid.
And Madrid had a completely different feel than Barcelona, but it was quite beautiful and had plenty of surprises for us.
The Royal Palace was exquisite. And we couldn't stop taking pictures of the architecture of the buildings along the Gran Via. There was so much beauty and nature to enjoy in Madrid.
Our visit to France was a bit more fast-paced than we usually do, but we got to see 2 new cities that we've never been before. Lyon was really hot in August, but captivating.
It had seriously impressive architecture and so much to see here. The rustic Bouchon-style restaurants were amazing. It's not a cheap city by any means, but its art and history were impressive. In fact, I thoroughly enjoyed the Roman ruins here and the trompe-l'oeil paintings on the buildings.
We saw plenty of similarities in Colmar too.
And even though we haven't visited Germany yet,
How have we not? But Colmar definitely gave off plenty of German vibes with its food and its architecture. It was great to meet up with a few of our viewers here.
and how surprising was it that it had its own little Venice, complete with gondolas.
Yeah, for sure. It was worth spending a little more time here.
And of course, Paris. It was fun to visit just after the Olympics. It never disappoints. Albania was on our original plans for 2023, but we ended up pivoting. So we were really excited to visit Tirana and spend some time here.
And that city turned out to be one of the most affordable places we visited all year.
And we met up with 3 different couples whose visits coincided with ours. They definitely made Tirana memorable.
Great food, wonderful company. What more could you ask for?
Its history also is fascinating.
So is the resilience of the people here. The effort they had made to bring color back into their lives after the gray communist era offers so much hope.
And we even met up with a local who showed us around the remnants of an ancient Roman house and bath complex and the mosaics here.
Having coffee with him was such a delight, and it also made us want to improve our ability to speak Italian.
The architecture here isn't as beautiful as in some other places, but we loved the coffee house culture, the diverse food choices. There was Italian, Albanian, Greek, Turkish.
Plenty of food, plenty of people that are just so wonderful. Just a great place.
And then we were on to Morocco.
Marrakesh was wild. I thought for some reason it would be similar to Giza, but it really wasn't.
Navigating the Medina was kind of a fun experience once you knew to stay on the right and understood the basic idea of where you were heading.
It wasn't necessarily a budget destination, but it was a cool experience, even on some of the hottest days.
Yes, I really enjoyed people watching from Jama El Fana Square.
Dealing with money was a little tricky because we could only get out a certain amount at one time, and a lot of places required cash.
And of course, we have to talk about our Sahara Desert trip, which was truly a bucket list destination.
Riding a camel among the sand dunes was amazing. And we didn't expect to see all the oases in the desert. That was quite a surprise.
And watching the sunset and the sunrise there were memories I'll cherish forever.
Let's not forget to talk about Fez. Again, some super kind people. Our Airbnb hosts were some of our favorite people that we met in all of our travels.
Yes, they prepared a homemade lamb tagine dinner for us with all of the fixings. It was such a gift. Even their breakfasts were tasty.
I wasn't expecting all the warm hospitality we received in Fez. It's smaller than Marrakesh, but their hearts are huge.
It also was a little bit more affordable than Marrakesh as well.
It helps that we had breakfast every morning at the Riad. And finally, we made it to a new continent, South America.
Yes, Argentina. That was quite an experience for us, and it began with a chaotic entry into this country, which we'll talk about more in an upcoming episode.
We love meeting up with Marissa, who was born in Argentina.
I wish we'd actually been able to connect with her sooner and have her give us a tour while we were there.
I wasn't at all prepared for the money issues though. We typically don't buy things a lot, but of course there are a few things we wanted to pick up. Unfortunately, the cost was prohibitive. This is not the ideal place to pick up electronics or footwear.
Our time in Iguazu Falls was so worth the canceled flight and rescheduling challenges. We have a video coming from there also, but both the Argentinian and Brazilian sides of the falls are worth seeing.
Well, that's a wrap on 2024. Is there any place you're going to add to your bucket list after seeing what we've done in 2024? Let us know in the comments.
Thanks for watching, and a special thank you to our Gelato members for supporting our channel. If you haven't already subscribed, we'd love for you to do that.
And check out findingginamarie.com. We have plenty of free stuff there, including downloads, articles, and our community forum.
Until next time.
Until next time.